teenagers now, but in the future, they have powers, and they will try to destroy me. I came from nothing, less than nothing. I will not give up everything I've built and have my life cut short.
This is bad ADR.
I was brought up in America, but educated at Oxford because all my ancestors have been educated there for many years. You see, it's a family tradition.
This is slightly better, but still kind of bad ADR.
The way he spoke, no wonder people thought he was lying.
When I chose to shoot the bitter end at the bitter end, I knew there was going to be a bit of opportunity cost with that decision. It meant that I was going to have a really good location, but it also meant that that really good location was going to be open and active through that entire shoot. And despite the great work of my sound guy, that resulted in audio like this. I missed it. Like this.
I don't know why I said that. I reverted back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it hurts. When I went to film school, we had one class about dubbing, and the main talking point of that class was, don't do it. Don't do dubbing. Don't do it. Do anything you can but dubbing. But I have found myself in a situation where dubbing is my last hope with most of these lines. The concern that comes with doing voiceover dubbing is that usually it sounds bad. It doesn't sync up, the microphone's different, the acoustics are different. Basically, it's really hard to do a convincing dub. How am I, Ethan Goff, going to do it? Through trial and error, using the internet, and pestering this poor man. My name is Ethan Goff, and this is me learning how to do dialogue dubbing. This is the room where I decided to do the ADR. It's probably the smallest bedroom we have in the house. It's our guest bedroom. The bed was not here when I did this, obviously, but the sofa and the carpet was, and those things sort of helped by taking in the sound, absorbing it so that there wasn't as much reverb or echoing, so that we could get a nice, crisp sounding dialogue track. So yeah. To record the ADR for the bitter end, I used a Boya PVM 1000 with a little condom cover for extra protection, an XLR cable, the H4n Tascam Pro, a decent pair of headphones, 2 pages of dialogue, and a C-stand. Man, that was heavy. Yeah, it's a different day. Get over it. The first actor I had come in for ADR was Preston. It would have been a lot better to have both Willow and Preston at my house on the same day doing the ADR, but circumstances just didn't really allow for that to happen, unless I wanted to be patient and wait a really long time, and I did not. So I decided we were just gonna work with what we had. My first approach to ADR was completely wrong. I sat Preston down in front of my laptop and had him try to mouth the words as he was hearing the dialogue, and also watching himself. This worked horribly. Preston became so focused on matching his lips that his performance suffered. Also, an interesting thing we discovered, people talk faster in the moment than they do when they're trying to recreate the moment, I guess. He found it really difficult to keep up with himself, because now he was just sitting in a random room in my house trying to match the energy of a scene he had filmed months ago. Basically, it was not working out. So I changed my tactic. I took the laptop away from Preston so he didn't have to watch himself. I gave him the headphones, and I just had him listen to whatever line we were recording over and over again. Then once he felt ready, I would press record and just have him say the line as many times as he wanted. The results that came from this were significantly better. By having Preston listen to the line over and over again, he could kind of get the speech patterns into his head, and then he could just perform it. Sort of a parroting technique, I guess, but it worked. For the most part. It still didn't work perfectly, but we'll get more into that later. So after that success, I was able to have Willow come in a few weeks later, and we did the same thing. Because at this point, I was a bit more experienced with ADR, this session went slightly better than Preston's did. There was less trial and error, it was a bit quicker, and the tracks ended up matching a bit more. So I had to get Preston back, which I'm actually still currently working on doing while I'm recording this. It's gonna work, trust me, it'll be okay. Here's some useful things I've learned from these two experiences. I'm reading them off of my laptop right now. Wide shots are obviously easier. Don't think I have to elaborate on this one, that just kind of makes sense. Whenever the actors were further away from the camera, it was a lot easier to sell the illusion I was going for. If the dialogue starts out matching and falls a little bit out of sync towards the end, generally you can get away with it. Only if this happens a little bit. If it's super obvious, which you'll know because you'll be looking at it, then you gotta fix something. But a lot of the times, it's not as obvious as you think. That's another thing that I learned. It's not as obvious as you think. There's this place in Grand Rapids called Wealthy Street Theater. It's this old movie theater, and they do really cool film events and things. And they just started doing this thing called Open Night Rough Cut, where a filmmaker can come out and show their rough cut to a group of people and get feedback. I signed up for this as soon as I heard about it, and I went there with my friend Belle, and she did a cartwheel. Look at that. That is a quality cartwheel right there. At this point, I had not completely finished all of the ADR, but I'd done most of it, at least on Preston's side, and I was really nervous about having people see what I'd done, because I wasn't sure if I'd done it well. But it turns out, even the dialogue that I thought wasn't perfectly synced, people didn't really notice. They heard a difference in the audio quality, for sure, but the ADR itself did not throw them off. So yeah, by and large, it's really not that hard to trick people. So there, that's good. That's good for us filmmakers to know. Actors preferred to not see themselves. There are two kinds of ADR that you can do: visual ADR and audio ADR. Alright, so I'm editing this video, and I just found out I made a mistake. I don't want to reshoot what I've already shot, so we're gonna correct it this way. I say audio ADR and visual ADR in the video you just watched. The correct terms for both of those is audio looping and visual looping. Small thing, but I just wanted to say that, and that's it. Back to the back video. Visual ADR is when the actor watches their performance without sound, and then they try and reproduce what they did based off that. And then there's audio ADR, which is the actor actually hearing themselves and then repeating the line. This results in a much more precise dub. So basically what that means is you shouldn't have your actor watch their performance while they're doing this. Let them hear the dialogue, get it in their head, and then just repeat it like a parrot, just like a parrot. That is going to produce a better result. Another cool thing was that I could actually improve certain line deliveries. When I was recording the ADR, I would have the actor get as close as they could to the set performance, and then I would have them do one take where they changed it up a little bit. I was actually able to use some of those alternate takes, and it resulted in better delivery. So that was cool, you know, it's kind of like cheating, because the actor gets to cheat, basically. They get the hindsight of their past performance to do something a little bit better. So there you go. That's awesome. I already mentioned this before, but it was very interesting to me how much the actors just struggled to keep up with the speed of the dialogue they said on set. When you're in the moment, you talk a lot faster than you realize. And so Preston and Willow would often just get lost in what they were saying because they couldn't keep up with that original pace. This is not a terrible thing to try and get over, but it's something that you should be aware of. Background noise is key. What really excited me about doing all the audio in post, basically, was that I got to control all the sound in the movie. Everything from cars passing by outside to coffee being made off screen to just sounds of coffee mugs being placed on tables is all stuff that I added later, and it really helped sell the illusion, and it was also just really cool to have that amount of control over the audio. I like control. I really like control. I am a control freak. That's why I do what I do. And last but definitely not least, sometimes an actor would record a line and it sounded like it matched, but then when I actually threw it into DaVinci, I found that the waves just weren't quite right. So be wary of that. Try and have your monitor there and check those waves while you're recording the sound. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up with problems like I did, and you might have to call your actors back, and that's just going to annoy them and you. So double check that. Just do that. If if you've gotten this far, thank you, because you are one of 2 people. Also, if you've gotten this far, you're probably thinking to yourself, Ethan, this has been a lot of talk so far. When are we actually going to see what you've been doing? When are we going to see a clip from this stupid short film? When are we going to see this supposed ADR work? And the answer to that question is in part 2, which I will never make. Nah, I'm joking. No, it's not in part 2. It's right now. You're going to see it right now. I am going to show you what I had before I did the ADR, and then I'm going to show you what I had after I did the ADR, what I currently have. This is just a clip. Not going to show you the whole film. Not going to spoil it. Don't want to spoil it for you. Pretty great film. You don't want it spoiled. But, so yeah, here it is. Here is what I had.
You know, I have to say I was kind of surprised when you texted me.
You were?
Yeah, just, you know, given everything.
Right. Look, Paul, I want things to be okay between us, if that makes sense.
All right. So here's what I currently have.
You know, I have to say I was kind of surprised when you texted me.
You were?
Yeah, just, you know, given everything.
Right. Look, Paul, I want things to be okay between us, if that makes sense.
I buy. I think it works. So yeah, there it is. That has been the past few weeks of my life. Working at Panda Express and dubbing over lines I probably should have tried harder to get in the first place. So I want to open this up. You know, how do you think I did with all this? Do you think the ADR has been successful? Are there different techniques that you think I could have tried out? Did I do everything wrong and I should just stop? Let me know down in those comments. And yeah, be gentle.